And we're live. Welcome back to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about some monsters in Costa Rica. And I'll share a, near death. You know, I almost died. And she laughs. I think she was trying to get, it might have been her fault. I think she's trying to get some insurance money. But I'm going to share how she's laughing. I almost died in Costa Rica.
I'm not laughing at that you almost died. I'm laughing at the way you're presenting that.
I did. When I came and showed you, you're like, oh, you were scared to death. Well, no, you're going to give it away. I'm not. You're going to give it away. Anyway, welcome back to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Hey, well, we are the only YouTube channel that's giving you all the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly about Costa Rica. And that's simply because, we're unbiased. We don't have a product or service to sell you. So we really just, I could care less if you come to Costa Rica. But if you do, I really want you to know the facts so that we can help you. But hey, before we go there, hey, what's been happening on the off-grid home? Well, I guess before we even get there, we should find who are you anyway?
You tell me who I am.
Oh, that's right. That's right. If this is your first time here, well, I'm Alan, okay? And this is my wonderful co-host, Rebecca. We have been living in Costa Rica since November of 2013. And so we've traveled just all over the place. Hey, hi to everybody. I'm glad that you're here. If you got a moment, hey, shout out. I see Pamela, Doug, Tess. I'm so glad you guys are here. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that like button, thumbs up. We're going to have fun today as we talk about some of the monsters in Costa Rica. And one that almost killed me. Matter of fact, it has attacked more people in Costa Rica.
And it's not really funny because you really could have been bitten. And then I would have had to drive that car as fast as I could down the mountain over the, all that
all of the landslides and all that. I think she probably would have gone slow as she could, get that life insurance money. Anyway.
I told you, you're irreplaceable.
All right, but before we get started, what's been happening on the off-grid homestead?
You did a lot of cleaning this week.
One of these days, I'm going to get a maid. Or maybe I
don't think there's a maid that will do what you need cleaning.
Well, why don't we take a moment to show them, hey, a little bit of interesting fun on what's been happening on the off-grid homestead.
I'm really excited to get back to working on my tiny house, but after being gone for so long, grabbing my tools for other projects, putting them back, I didn't have the opportunity to put them where they belong, and I'm a little bit anal. So, I need to know where my tools are, and it needs to be clean. I need to know where everything's at. So, first things first, I had to clean up the tool shed. So I practically took everything out and started cleaning things up so I could know where things are before I could get started working. But as luck would have it, about the time I get most or a lot of things outside, it started raining. And man, it just came pouring, hardly without any warning. So Rebecca and I were running to get everything out of the rain and inside the house. So I had a huge mess inside the house. But at least I could continue cleaning and sorting stuff. But in the process of cleaning my tool shed, I found this little guy, which prompted me to maybe let you guys know about some of the dangers of Costa Rica. How dangerous are scorpions, tarantulas, snakes, other dangerous things in Costa Rica? We'll talk more about that in just a moment. My bodega all cleaned up, everything organized, all the tools where they belong, and even this shelf over here with everything where it belongs. So now it's really easy to find all my tools, and when it's time to go to work, well, I know exactly what I'm doing and where to get whatever it is that I need. And of course, as you know, well, this doubles as our shower, and of course it doubles as our bathroom. So as you can see, I've been building this wall right here. And of course, there's a wall on this back side. I'm getting ready to close in this side of the house that has always been open. Matter of fact, I even had to put that tarp up, which we really didn't need. But because I built this wall right here. And the bed was moved over. It was closer to the end and getting a little bit of blow-in rain. But with that tarp there, that's not a problem. So now I've got this and that wall. There's going to actually be some more of these that are going to go across. And then this bed is going to be on top, which is going to really be nice. And then we're going to have storage, on the bottom. And so there's 4 foot of storage at the bottom. So 4 by 8, or actually it's 8 foot by 8 foot, 4 foot high. And I can use all that for storage. And the bed's going to be on top and we can step down. So it's kind of like having a bed in the loft. And that's what's been happening on the Off-Grid Homestead. But today we're talking about the monsters of Costa Rica. How deadly are they? Well, I had a very close encounter, a near-death experience. It's when you're going through the jungle that you need to really be observant. You need to be looking at everything, seeing if anything's maybe a little different color. But snakes, they blend in, so you got to be cautious. We're going through the jungle now. I'm inspecting my water line for leaks because I know that this line is weak. But you're going through the jungle, you got to be careful. You got to watch every place you put your hand. You got to look behind every rock. You got to make sure that you don't step over the rock. You step on it and jump over. But you got to be very careful everywhere in the jungle. This terrain is really steep. I'm having to go in 4-wheel drive, meaning I'm having to put my hands down, use my hands and feet, and I'm just about to put my hand down here, and oh gosh, look at that! What is that? I noticed something a little different. Let's get a close-up view of this. Oh my gosh, this is one of the most dangerous snakes in Costa Rica. More people have been bitten by this snake. But is it deadly? Be careful. Watch every step when you're in Costa Rica, especially when you're in the jungle of Costa Rica. Let's learn more about the monsters of Costa Rica on the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast.
Now, somebody tell me, do you know what monster almost took my life? If you know, if you've seen any of these, hey, you type what kind of snake do you think that is, okay? And, that snake was actually, we were within inches of one another. And that tarantula you saw was right there outside the front of the house. I had a big log pile. I'd cut some trees and stuff. And those tarantulas like to get in those logs and stuff. But the question is, when all these different monsters, these critters, as Karen says, are they dangerous? How dangerous are they? Now,
can I give them a hint for figuring out the snake?
All right, give them a hint. What's the hint for figuring out the snake?
Google snake that has bitten the most people in Costa Rica.
That might give them the answer. So she told you something here. So let's see here what someone says. Caution,
somebody
spiders.
got it.
Oh, check it out. First person right here is AB Gingerbread says this is a fear de lance. I don't know, is it a fur de lance? I like to call them fear de lance because they are one of the most feared snakes around. But I think it's actually pronounced like Tom says. It's fur de lance is what I think it's pronounced as. Now, here's the important thing. When you're doing research, you can get a lot of misinformation. And, I do a lot of research. We both do a lot of research when we're getting ready to do these live shows because, I don't like to give misinformation. And so if I do give misinformation, it's not on purpose. It's not, we try really hard to give you accurate information. And, a lot of people will tell you that the fear of the lance is, oh my gosh, it's deadly. Oh my gosh, don't. And there's all this hype about how dangerous, how bad. And look, in reality, one news source that I read said that there was over 550 snake bites every year from the fer de lance, which comprises over 70% of these snake bites in Costa Rica. Now, when I was doing when I do the relocation retreats, we actually go out to
Manuel
Antonio, and we have a very, very good guide. And if you've got a very knowledgeable guide, this guide, she was telling me all about the fer de lance and about how many, and she said there was, I can't remember, she said 600 or 700 fertile ants snake bites every year. Now, as I did all this research, unfortunately on the internet, anybody can put up any kind of information, okay? But the truth of the matter is that while more people get bitten by the fertile ants, it's not the most deadly or not the most dangerous snake. There is maybe one or two other snakes that are more deadly or more dangerous, but you don't see many of them. You hear a lot about the fertile ants because it's so common. Well, what are the odds of you getting bit, or what are the odds of you dying or having some serious complications from a fertile ant? Because, years ago, there was a reality TV show. I want to say it was Naked and Afraid.
Or Survivor.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Survivor. I think it was Naked and Afraid. Anyway, they were doing an episode in Costa Rica, and one of the production guys got stepped on it. And so, of course, he stepped on a snake. He ended up, and man, lots and lots of hype about almost dying and all that crap. Well, the reality is that, yes, you can die from a fertile ant. Yes, I was this close to one right here, on my water line. And I was always told that I would hardly ever see one in this area. And my primary investigation said that, hey, and it's true, most of the fertile ants, they don't like to get this high. This particular one that I came eye to eye with.
This altitude
was at 5,000 feet, okay? And they prefer it around 2,000 feet and lower, okay? So you will find a lot of these fertile ants, around the beach, around the banana plantations, around the African palm oil plantations, and that's simply because they love mice. And if you've ever seen these African palm oil plantations, when they're cutting the limbs and stuff, they will pile that stuff up in between the trees, which is a perfect place for mice. And so, of course, it attracts the fertile ants. And because you have so many ticos working in the African palm oil tree plantations, in the banana plantations, then you get a lot of snake bites. Very few of them have any serious complications because Costa Rica has a whole lot of the antidote for them. So the most important thing for you to know, if you get bit by fertile ants, don't tell it to your wife. She'll laugh at you. Get to a hospital as quick as you can. And, the sooner the better. Even if you get there within hours or 4 or 5 hours, it's usually not going to be deadly. And, hey, just get to a hospital now. If you're in a remote area, kind of like we are, and you're a long ways away, you would likely find the antivenom, according to one news source, at a veterinarian place a lot quicker, because some of the remote areas may not have it. But hey, we're only really, once we get into town, we're 2 hours down the mountain, and there is a clinic where we're at, so I fully expect that they would have it.
I think that they would have it because of all the Del Monte, all the
people that work Del Monte, and I bet you there's hardly any snakes in the Del Monte plantation.
Probably not.
Well, it wouldn't be.
There's no coverage for them.
Right.
There's
no mice or anything. Yeah. So, but I would bet they would have it. So anyway, so the important thing to know is that, hey, you do want to be careful about the fertile ants. But look, it's really common sense. If you see a snake, don't poke it. Okay, and leave it alone. There's no sense in taking that chance. Now, this particular snake, while I probably shouldn't say this live, he ended his life right there. And so I don't need I don't like to take any chances. But look, if you are not very observant, well-trained, stay out of the jungle. If you stay on the main trails, most of the time you got nothing to worry about. I'm extremely, extremely observant. I'm all through the jungle. And I'm extremely observant. But look, if you're going hiking and stuff, stay on the main trail. Most of the time, you're not going to see it. If you see a snake on the main trail, he's likely doing like you. He's trying to get from point A to point B. Leave him alone and get on by, okay? But don't be trying to, photo opportunity, and then you get bit, all right?
Yeah, why did you get so close to that snake?
I got a really good zoom lens, man. That zoom lens like this big. I was like 20 miles away whenever I zoomed in on him.
Yeah, I believe that. You got close enough, well.
So, hey, but it's kind of like what Tom says here. Tom says, hey, baby bites are more venomous. I've heard some of that stuff. Not saying you've given bad information, Tom. I have heard that a lot, but I haven't found anything to verify that information. But if you got anything that you can verify that, I've heard that a lot though, Tom, but I don't know if there's any truth to that. So, hey.
Well, also, it's not necessarily life-threatening if you can get to the hospital and get some antivenom, but the longer you wait, what is it, like 5 or 6 hours, you probably lose a limb?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I really wished I had that guide with us, and I want to actually have her on a show one time to tell us a little bit more about it, because she very, very knowledgeable. You know, when we do our relocation retreats and we go out, man, she tells us all great information, and she could tell you, you know, depending on how much hours and stuff, but hardly ever does anyone die from it unless, you know, they don't know any better. Like, I read one article today where this Canadian walking on the beach at night got bit. He didn't know what it was, and because of the language barrier, he went to the hospital, couldn't communicate. He ends up getting on a flight, going to Canada. He almost dies because, well, he's a knucklehead. He should have stayed in Costa Rica, because when he got to Canada, they didn't have the antivenom, and they had to, you know, so he almost died because of that. So if he'd have stayed in Costa Rica, his odds of surviving would have been so much better. He did survive, but my point is, use a little bit of sense. Don't get bitten, all of a sudden fly home, you know, stay here and get it taken care of. So
pretty much, if you don't work for the palm oil collector,
African
plantations,
palm oil,
for
don't work in the banana plantation.
Don't work in the banana plantations. Don't go off into the jungle.
Don't go off trail.
You're probably not going to get, I mean,
you probably won't get snake bit.
Right. And if you do, Costa Rica is very prepared with
that's right. Because, you know, one of the big thrills of coming to Costa Rica is people that like to go on the night tours. And it's not uncommon, if you go on a night tour with a guy that knows what he's doing, he's going to show you some of these Fer de Lance. Now, Fer de Lances are move around a whole lot at night because they're nocturnal. This one here, it was daytime, 5,000 feet. It was very cold. This one here really wasn't moving around. You know, he was trying to stay warm. And I can tell you that if my hand would have been close to him, he would have felt the heat and probably would have struck, and I'd have gotten bitten. Okay, but I know I have enough knowledge. I'm in the forest. I'm in the jungle all the time, so I know how to be careful. Just be careful, like you said. You're probably not going to get bit unless you go off trail. So
right now, a lot of people have seen snakes around their house, but you know, they're kind of obvious, I guess. Yeah. Like, I saw one the other night, hollered for you to come get it. It was crawling around on the bricks. Yeah. And we've seen snakes even in residential areas. So we're out in the woods. So we're going to have things like that, but we've seen them in residential. But even though we're very few, right? Very few. Right. I mean, I think I might have seen more snakes in Louisiana than I've seen agree. Here.
We had more snakes in our pond in Louisiana than we did right here.
Yeah, I've seen water moccasins and rattlesnakes and all that. I haven't seen that many snakes here.
Right. Now, we're in the jungle, but hey, if you got your area around your house cleared like we do, I hardly ever see snakes in my area, you know. So anyway, and it's like Tom said here, because I highlighted what Tom said, and hey, I agree, because I've heard the same thing. Tom said he was told they don't release their fangs, or they can't control how much venom comes out of their fangs like older ones. Now, what I did read in some of the research, like I said, some of the research I did, I'm not telling you it's truth because I don't know, but some of the research with Fer de Lance, they don't lay eggs. Now, I read a lot of articles, and some articles said they have eggs, some said they don't, but I read enough that the majority say they give live birth to snakes. You know, anywhere from 10 to 80, 10 to 60, they give a lot of live birth snakes, and those snakes are fully developed. So when they are fully developed, they're ready to strike, according to one article, whether they do or not. And some of the babies will have a yellow tail, which attracts mice and frogs and all of that stuff. So anyway, that's a little bit about the Fer de Lance. And good advice, Tom. By the way, house cats will get rid of snakes. Hey, house cats will get rid of a lot of stuff. We were in one house with bats. As soon as we brought the cats in, they left.
Yeah, and our cat is definitely taking care of mice. So that's probably keeping, you know, the snakes don't have a reason to come here because she Oh, where are all those mice coming from?
We have a ton of, but we're in the jungle and we got this big old field out there. So Cootie loves to chase mice. But hey, what about hey, you guys saw the videos with the scorpion. So hey,
now that's way more common.
You got okay.
I
real quick,
probably
trivia. Okay, if you think a scorpion is dangerous, and that the sting from a scorpion could be very painful. If you think the sting from a scorpion is very painful or dangerous, put a 10 in the chat box. But if you think, it's not really dangerous, down to a 1. Okay. If you think it's not dangerous at all, put a 0. Okay. So I'd like to know, what are your thoughts about the scorpion? Because, hey, we've seen scorpions all the time, don't we?
Yeah. I've been stung once.
Now, look, she ought to live right, because I ain't never been stung.
But that's what's bad about scorpions. They're not, well, I'm going to give it away, but I mean, they're not threatening. They saw it, crawling on you.
Well, yeah, I mean, they saw a couple of videos with me playing with scorpions. So
you're not hurting them. And what happened to me is, and that's what I don't like about them. You go to get your bath towel and it's in there because they like to hide. And what happened to me, I've shared this story before, but I laid down in bed and we were watching something. So I did like that with my arms and it was in my pillowcase. And so I smashed it and it stung me.
Now take a look. Tess says, well, I think
bit me. I don't know what they do. What do
they don't bite.
They got that tail.
They don't even look like they got a head. I mean, that's a scorpion is just an evil looking creature. And of course, movies and theaters portray them as evil. Tess says they're a 10. She don't want nothing to do with them.
They really do look horrible.
They do look very
But they are afraid of you.
They are afraid and will run.
Will run if you, but that's the bad thing is if you surprise them, they're rolled up in your coat, they're in your shoe, they're whatever. That's what I do not like about them because they get flat and they like to sleep in tucked away places.
Mary says it's a 1. Now, Karen had a good point here. She says, well, doesn't it depend? No, Karen, this Karen said the type that we have kind of feels like a cigarette burn. What did it feel like to you?
It felt like a wasp sting.
And how long was that pain?
Probably like maybe 10, 20 minutes. I don't know. It didn't last that long.
Okay. And Karen Lay says, well, doesn't it depend on the type of scorpion? Now, and I'm not a scorpion expert, but I did a lot of research. And from the research that I found, just about every scorpion you can practically hold in your hand. And, but keep in mind, look, when I first approach a scorpion, I get him out in the open. And, I ease up to him. And when he's not threatened, okay. And as you saw, I've played with big ones. And I think I've showed you a couple of videos of small ones, and so I can play with them. Most people don't because they just don't know. And everyone thinks that scorpions are dangerous when in reality, they're not dangerous at all.
I don't want to play with them.
But you still don't want to play with one? No. Okay.
I do not want that creepy crawly crawling on me.
So, and theaters and movies have done a great job of making them seem to be very, very dangerous. But hey, so we talked about the fear de lance.
I know they're not deadly though.
Fear de lance can be deadly, could be, but most of the time it's not deadly. Scorpions, not deadly at all, not even painful really, unless you got a low pain tolerance. But what about spiders?
Don't feel good.
Not something I'd want to do for pleasure. I'm into cutting and I'm into piercing, man, not me. So, but what about spiders? What about tarantulas? Because we've got big tarantulas here. I don't see them a lot.
I've seen babies and they're so cute. They were cute.
You want me to get you one?
No, I don't want them on me. They were cute though. They're kind of fuzzy.
Well, so the
furry.
And look, we've seen a couple of these big old tarantulas and so the question is, hey, well, let's ask our viewers. Okay, how many of you, now, we got one guy who comes on every once in a while who really studies all these things. So, hey, are tarantulas dangerous? Yeah, hey, let me know. 10 if you think they're dangerous and deadly. 1 if you think they're not deadly or dangerous, somewhere in between. Give me an idea on what you think about tarantulas. And we'll tell you a little bit more about what we think about tarantulas. Now, while we're waiting for your answer, Jan says, Scorpion sting hurt, especially if it's on your hand, but Benadryl works very quickly. Our scorpions in Key West are not deadly, but I heard that they are deadly in Mexico and Elba. With all the research,
I don't know, but it could be depending on the species or variety.
Right. Now, the variety we have here, I hear, are very popular all over Latin America. So I really just don't know.
We have those little light brown ones.
Yeah, we got these little light brown ones. Pamela says, I think 0 for tarantulas. And so are tarantulas deadly? Anybody else got some input on tarantulas? Are they deadly? Because now these tarantulas, I have seen them in several places. The real river cabin. We've been down a river cabin. Was on that trail late one night, and I walked right by a tarantula. Got some good video footage. When we were cleaning out the barn here, I cleaned out a bunch of rotten wood, and there was some tarantulas there. I've seen tarantulas here several times. And
we moved our propane tanks, and there were tarantulas living underneath it.
So,
but they're not aggressive.
Yeah,
they won't chase you. They're afraid of you.
They're very well. When
you disturb them, they take off. Almost anything is afraid. Doesn't want to be disturbed. But there are some creatures that attack for no.
Well, I don't know if there's any that attack for no reason. So here's the important thing, and that's why we're talking about the monsters of Costa Rica. There really are no monsters in Costa Rica. Most everything in Costa Rica is more scared of you than you are of them. Even rattlesnakes. I don't think I've ever seen a rattlesnake. I don't even know if rattlesnakes exist in Costa Rica. If any of you guys know, or if you've actually seen a rattlesnake in Costa Rica, let me know. But, rattlesnakes are not aggressive, okay? They're really more shy and will get away. Fear-to-lands, they're more aggressive than anything, but they're not really aggressive. They're striking because you got too close, okay? So it's all in self-defense. They're not attacking you or going at you, okay?
Yeah, I don't like anything that if I accidentally get close to it, it's going to strike at me.
That's why you got to be observant.
Or sting me or bite me.
Right.
Okay? Like whatever bit my nose, I did not do anything to it.
Talking about your nose.
What? And
who knows what's under that Band-Aid? Pun intended. So, you know what? So before we get to the Band-Aid issue, are tarantulas, and Karen asked, well, do they jump on you? I've never had, all the tarantulas, that one that you saw in the video, I'm poking him with a metal rod. They're running from you. I've never had any one of them run toward me, okay? And Karen says that, hey, whoops. Karen says, back in college, I had a pet tarantula or she pet sit. She was pet sitting a tarantula for someone. And wasn't familiar with the molting process. She thought she'd killed it. Boy, you a bad pet sitter. Bad tarantula sitter. Yeah, so now. Now
look, and Eduardo says that in downtown San Jose, they have, look right there.
Now Eduardo says downtown San Jose, they got some really bad snakes of another kind. Yeah, they're called people. So I don't know if that's you talking about, Eduardo, but I've run into some of them.
I bet different areas have different, different concentrations of things, and so we have not seen any snakes, I guess, in the like the city areas. But
now, I don't want to pass on some bad information because I don't know if there's bad information or not. But when I asked about rattlesnakes, Doug says, yeah, rattlesnakes do exist in Costa Rica. He said he looked it up a long time ago, and I think it's more in the southern zone. So he looked it up, but he didn't actually see one. If you've seen one, I'd like to know. And Doug, I don't know. I haven't done any research on the rattlesnake because I was talking about fear-to-lands today. But hey, Reckon did ask, do we have pumas? Yes, we do have pumas here. Matter of fact, they're close by right here.
Yeah, that's kind of. But Costa Rica is supposed to have, I forget the percentage, but it's a very high percentage of all animals that live in North and South Americas, in the Americas,
Right.
because it's that land bridge, and because of a lot of rainforest and a lot of area for them to stay in. They're protected. So
yeah. And you know, in Costa Rica, we do have, it's like you said, there's all kind of critters, and we even have geckos up here, but not a whole lot. Geckos do like it where it's warm, but it is amazing because you know, I've done research and I've had people say, oh, you're not gonna have no fear to land, it's way up there, it's too cold. So you know, and look, I'm not saying anything bad about the Ticos, but Ticos, well, you know, if you ask a Tico, he's going to tell you, oh no, you'll never see one. You know, but you have to understand things about Ticos. They want to be helpful, and he's telling you information about where he lives at. And most Ticos don't normally travel. Most Ticos stay right there in their environment. And most Ticos, they assume that whatever's happening where they live at, it's going to be the same all over Costa Rica. And that's just not the truth. You know, Costa Rica is so very diverse, and it's amazing. So when a Tico tells you something, don't take it as gospel, because Costa Rica is very diverse, and Ticos they're trying to be very helpful. And I mean, you ask a Tico, which way is McDonald's? He's like, it's that away. Is it that away or is it that away? You know, so the truth is they're just trying to be very helpful, but it may not get the truth. Okay.
Yeah. And look, Tess asked about geckos. There are geckos all over the place, and I'm not afraid of geckos. I like geckos. I don't want them crawling on me, but if one would get on me, I wouldn't freak out about it. But a lot of people are afraid of geckos.
Yeah,
like in the States.
It's kind of just a clear lizard. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, they call them the little flesh-colored lizards, and they freak out a lot of people. But they're good to have around because they eat a lot of bugs.
A lot of mosquitoes.
They keep the mosquitoes down. The worst thing about the geckos is their poop. They poop all over.
You run out of toilet paper in a hurry.
They crawl on the ceiling and on the walls, and they just drop, you know,
all over the place. Now, Jan is correct here that if you poke a scorpion, they usually will just curl up.
Yeah,
Scorpions
they get real flat. It's amazing how flat they can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you remember when we were staying in the cabin up over there, and one fell from the rafter?
Before we knew that scorpions weren't deadly, and I mean, you know, you watch TV, you assume that we were staying in a cabin, and like Rebecca's like with her flashlight, oh my gosh,
I didn't see him at first, not that one. Remember, we were covered up and about to go to sleep. It turned all the lights off, and I felt something do, like a sound and a pressure, like boom, boom, something. And I'm like, something has fallen on the bed. Something has gotten on the bed. So quickly threw the covers off, turned on the lights, and it was a scorpion. It had fallen from the ceiling, there were rafters up there, but and I knew that's where they came from because we saw two other ones crawling on the same rafter.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, the one that you saw in the video today was kind of a medium size. We've seen some really good sized scorpions.
Yeah, really big
you know,
ones,
they make for a good snack, real crunchy.
So basically, the scorpions are not an issue. But let's go back to the spiders.
Okay, well, before we go back to spiders, Reckon answered the question, and I think that's correct. You know, because if I remember, said roughly 5% of the world's ecosystem can be found in Costa Rica, mostly bugs, if he's correct. You know, so anyway, we're just giving you some generic information. Hey, I'm
very diverse.
I'm no biologist, but
all I know is I have seen bugs that I've never seen anywhere else.
Oh my gosh!
And I see so many varieties that I'm wondering, could anybody have discovered all of these bugs, these different little creatures?
Know, like you said, since being here, I mean, we have seen some metallic gold, metallic silver.
Now those are well known.
A stink bug.
I know, but those are. Yeah? I'd never seen one other than here. But on the internet, they're popular. There's
so you never, you know. So anyway, there are so many bugs I've seen. I remember being a kid in Louisiana, and we seen these what I'd call red velvet ants, and they'd be about a ½ inch long, you know. And come to Costa Rica, I have seen all kind of amazing ants, all kinds of different colors. I'm talking about some big ones and tiny ones, and just there are so many amazing bugs here. It's just no way that they have discovered all of them.
Today we saw a lot of queen leafcutter ants with the wings. They must be just coming out. Must be the season. Look,
Now, Bob
asking,
has a good question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do dogs get bit a lot? That I'm not sure of. Our Nikki, thank God, has not ever been bit, and she runs through the forest. But it's got to be a potential.
It's bound to be, but like you said, wow, we've never heard of it. But
it made me think about the frogs. If you have a beloved pet that you're bringing with you, a dog, there are these certain kinds of frogs.
Wait a minute, but that's hearsay again. There's these big toads, not frogs, right?
Oh, yeah,
big toads, ugly toads, right? And they're supposedly poisonous for the pets. But I've never heard anyone say, my dog got sick from one of them frogs. I just always heard, oh, no, be careful, your dog.
Yeah.
Well, I've never even seen Nikki try to chase one. I've never seen any dog chase a frog. But if you got a dog that would chase toads, let me know. I ain't never seen it happen.
I don't know.
But a whole lot of this witchcraft going on about how dangerous it is. Okay, so
let's see. A friend of ours' dog got 3 ticks at.
Well, Anastasia is sharing that a friend of our dog got 3 ticks at once on his poor face. Look, I've seen some dogs around here, poor dogs, in Costa Rica running around. They don't have medicine or anything.
If we didn't give Nikki her internal, external pest controls from the vet, she would be covered because she goes. If you just go walking in the woods, like just even on trails, she comes back with ticks. She comes. We've gotten red bugs, or chiggers.
Since you're on that
bunch
topic,
of times.
Since you're on that topic
That's not fun.
Okay, here's two critters that can tell you when it's rainy season and when it's dry season. So, as I've told most of you, for most of Costa Rica, it's what is the rainy season, dry season?
The rainy season is from December to May.
Typically, how many months?
Wait, I got that backwards. From May to November is the rainy
usually
season.
May to October.
May to October, rainy season. Dry season is usually November-ish to April-ish.
And so it's usually 6 and 6, right?
Yeah,
for most of places.
But it starts and stops a little bit.
Yeah, you got that transition month, okay?
Yeah.
But for most of Costa Rica, it is 6 and 6. Depending if you're in a microclimate, we're in a microclimate. We usually get about 7 months of rain and 5 months of dry. But that rainy season has started whenever the tabanos come out and eat you up. Okay, don't give it away. Who knows what a tabano is? Okay.
That's the Spanish name for it.
If you know what a tabano is, type it in the chat box. If you know what a tabano is. So rainy season has started because the tabanos will tear you up. And you'd be like, Now, when dry season comes and you get out into the trails, you will get eat up. I wish I knew what the Spanish word for this is, but it's the
chiggers.
The chiggers, the red bugs.
We call them red bugs in Louisiana.
So and
you've gotten them in Louisiana because you went hiking a lot off trail.
Yeah.
I try to stay on the trail. The only time I've gotten red bugs is like when we're trying to set up the camera and I have to kind of get off trail to get a shot or whatever. But look, Jan names the toad.
Well, yeah, I don't know if she's joking or whoops, I got the wrong one. Let's see, the chat moves. Yeah, Jan says it's a bufo toad. I don't know what a bufo toad is.
I don't know. I've never known the name of that toad that is supposed to be so poisonous.
Wait a minute, we got an answer here. So Mary knows what a tabano is. A tabano is a horse fly.
Yep.
Okay. Now, a tabano can also be a deer fly. So tabanos in Costa Rica, you'll have in the United States,
they are relentless.
Oh man, in the United States, I only knew about the horse fly and the deer flies. But in Costa Rica, there's several different variations, and I guess that's because all of them different variations are here on vacation. We got big horse flies, little horse flies, deer flies, little tiny deer flies, and those. So in the rainy season, you'll get eat up by the tabanos, which are the horse flies, deer flies. And in the summertime, then when it's dry, well, then you get a lot of chiggers. So I don't know where they go in the rainy season. And I don't know where the horse flies go or the tabanos go when it's dry.
I don't know. And this is just if you're going out in the jungle. This isn't, if you're going off trail, this isn't just coming to visit Costa Rica. You won't get chiggers although a lot of people do go on those like night tours, or they go off to waterfalls and in the jungle, and they might go into a bush to go pee or something like that. And you can get chiggers like that.
Yeah. Now, Ravelin, TMI maybe. Ravelin says, I'm late, but one of my biggest fears is waking up in the middle of the night, going for a leak, seeing a tarantula run up the bathroom wall. Hey, I get up every night for a leak, and I'm peeing in the jungle, and I ain't never peed on a tarantula yet. But
you sure laughing a lot for somebody who has major exposure. Watch tonight.
See that? She's trying to get some insurance money. I think she's gonna plant one of these tarantulas in my bed right where I go pee. She knows where I go pee at. I'm marking my territory.
Yeah, but that is a scary thing. And while we don't see a lot of tarantulas, the spiders.
Well, wait, we didn't talk about it. Are tarantulas poisonous? So
I think they are, but it's slight or venomous. I don't know the difference between saying poisonous or venomous. Right. There's a difference, but
yeah, you're right. I don't know. So
I'd have to educate myself better about that.
According to my research, if you can get bit by a tarantula, but most tarantulas, it's not going to be deadly. It might hurt, might be painful, but
kind of similar to the scorpion.
I think it's probably worse than a scorpion from my research, but it's nothing to be scared of. And I guess if you're dumb enough to pick up a tarantula, hey, look at my pet.
A wild tarantula.
You pick up a wild tarantula thinking you're going to help someone find their long lost pet. You might deserve to get bit. But anyway, don't get mad at me, people.
You remember the one that we saw crossing the road? It was big enough to see. Like, it must have been this big without exaggerating.
I ran over him. I thought it was a speed bump.
No, you did not run over him. He made it across the road. But we actually had visitors with us in the car, visitors from the States.
Yeah, like, we wanted to back up. We did back up. Huh?
No,
okay.
No, we didn't. We were just like, wow, look at that big old spider.
So, but let's get to it, because here we are at 42 minutes. And I told you guys that Rebecca's going to reveal underneath that Band-Aid. So before she does.
And look, Karen has some insight. Things that you ingest are poisonous.
The ingest are poisonous. Things you ingest are poisonous. Ah, okay. So Karen, I hope she knows what she's talking about. She says, talking about the difference. You asked, I don't know what's poisonous, what's venomous. So
you say that wrong. It's venomous, not how you say it. If you get
that wax out of your ears, I said venomous.
It's okay. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. I don't know.
All right. Anyway, Rebecca says, I don't know what's venomous and what's poisonous. And Karen says, the things you ingest. So the last time I ate one of them spiders, it was poisonous. And the last one that bit Rebecca was venomous.
There you go.
All right. So anyway, and thanks, Karen, for clearing the air on that. So
that's a good way to remember it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That is a good way to remember. But now look, most of you guys will probably never get bit by a spider. Okay, so let's see if I can get close to the camera here. So if we take a look, that is a spider bite. Rebecca and I got bit probably the same night. Okay.
Yeah, we were bit the same night.
So this is a spider bite right here. But look, it's really better. There's no more scab. It's kind of like an old scar. It will eventually. And look, it's been how long?
It happened in August.
Last
year.
Here it is June. So it's almost a year later. And this spider bite is still here. And Rebecca's spider bite, we got bit at the same time.
Yeah, because then I remember us talking. I told you, I think I got a pimple on my nose. And you were like, well, something got me last night. And the difference, he did not fool with his. He has not done anything to it. He didn't squeeze it. He didn't
I didn't put medication on it.
Nothing.
I didn't try to clean it.
Yeah. Mine, I thought it was a pimple. I mean, it was right on my nose. So I put Clearasil, I put some peroxide, which later I found out was the two, like, don't put peroxide on it, and definitely don't squeeze it. I, of course, squeezed it thinking it was a pimple. And so I had to take antibiotics. I had to put topical antibiotic and I took 5 rounds of antibiotics because none of them worked until the last set. And the topical, I got 3 different kinds, and the last one that I used was worked. But mine still looks like his.
Oh no, hers looks way worse than mine.
You think it's worse?
Oh, yours is way worse than mine. Mine doesn't have a scab or anything. Mine hasn't leaked anymore. But before she reveals that, she thought it was a brown recluse. So I want to bring this up because she's going to share this story. We were told, oh, there ain't no brown recluses in Costa Rica. You didn't get bit by a brown recluse.
Right. All my research and talking to people, it looked exactly like a brown recluse. You know, after I figured out, okay, this is not a pimple, because it started to, the center started to, like the flesh started disappearing. You know, it started making a divot, and it got very infected, red and swollen. And so anyway, after figuring out that it was not a pimple, then I started doing research, and his bite and my bite look exactly like brown recluse spider bites. I mean, there's pictures all over the internet, and it's the same circle. It looks exactly the same. But the doctor said, nope, they don't have a brown recluse. And everything on the internet said Costa Rica doesn't know. I mean, everything said that the brown recluse.
I've had a doctor that was smoking. He should know it's not unhealthy.
But it was right, okay? Because the brown recluse is not in Costa Rica. So I guess you could maybe find one, but it typically is.
He's on vacation.
So being that it looked just like the brown recluse bite, I mean, I was like, surely maybe one came back in our suitcase and has been living in the suitcase all this time. But after talking to a dermatologist that has her practice in Florida for half the year, and the other half of the year she's a dermatologist, she practices in Costa Rica. When I was telling her, okay, it looks like a brown recluse, but they don't live here, and we have tons of spiders around here. I mean, how many have we
We're in the jungle, so most people wouldn't have this problem.
And I told the dermatologist, I said, you know, it looks just, the spiders that we have look just like brown recluse, but they don't have that
that violin. They got it. It looks like a little violin
on the head.
Is it on the head?
Yeah, it's on the head. It's kind of like a little circle on the head, and then there's the violin handle, that goes between the 2 pieces of parts of the head. Well, they don't have that here. And she told me, I was so relieved to know, they don't have the actual brown recluse, but Costa Rica does have a cousin of the brown recluse.
Go figure.
Has the same bite, same venomous thing. It's exactly like the brown recluse that's in the North America, but it doesn't have the violin.
So it's not an actual brown recluse because he doesn't have the violin, but he's the cousin that don't like music.
He plays something else. I don't know, probably the drums, but no, but it looks exactly like, you know, and brown recluse hide in areas, they don't do a web. And so anyway.
Yeah. So, and look,
how this happened
Rebecca
to us,
is
we don't know.
Expert on killing spiders. She keeps a flip-flop with her everywhere she
I
goes.
used to not be afraid of spiders. I used to just, let them be. In fact, okay, like we came to Costa Rica not wanting to poison anything.
Right. We don't poison. We don't put chemicals anywhere.
We try to keep everything. Right. We didn't want to have to use pesticides. We didn't want to have to, spray poison anywhere. We didn't want to kill anything. But these spiders, I've had to kill a bunch of them
She's killed a lot of spiders. Poor spiders.
But only the ones that look like, like the brown recluse. But well, I guess I can show. But and also, you think about like the little ants. If you come even on vacation, even in nice hotels and places that you're going to stay, little cabinas and
you're going to find
you're going to find these ants.
You're going to have ants and bugs inside your place.
Yeah, and so we try not to kill anything if we don't have to, but sometimes we'll have to. Like on our desk, there'll be those little ants that they just start crawling all over you. I'll see one passing in my glasses and and everything. So we'll have to put a little bit by our desk, and that just keeps them off of the desk. But they roam free. We've seen the major trails that we call them the cleanup crew. You just got to let them be.
Yeah. And, so the odds of you getting bit by a spider are pretty slim. Okay.
You think?
I think so. I think it's just that we're not inside a house. We're living in the jungle.
That's true.
And so
I've seen a lot of spiders, even in other places. I mean, almost every house that we rented, almost every Airbnb that we stayed in, almost every house sit that we've done, they have spiders.
But in all the places that we're in, it's usually not a sealed house. When your house is sealed and you come to live in Costa Rica and you got a sealed house, you're not going to have that big problem.
Yeah, we don't stay in fancy places.
Jan gives some really good information. She says, spray your surfaces with vinegar to repel ants.
Hey, that's good to know.
Good thought. Now, but hey, everybody wants to know. I want to know. Here's my spider bite, and it's looking so much better. We got bit at the same time. Let's see your spider bite.
It's ugly.
She's still got a spider underneath there.
Now, I don't wear a Band-Aid like when I go to town or anything, because
and it's better not to have a Band-Aid
on. I need to let it always air, because after wearing a Band-Aid, it's moist, but it's horrible.
Get up a little bit higher there. And so anyway, this is the spider bite of Rebecca here. And so you can see it ain't looking so great, but it is getting better and better.
It's better.
Yeah.
See this red around it used to be that.
Yeah, it used to be really.
It's filling in finally.
Yeah. So she was really afraid that it was going to leave a divot, there.
I probably will. I'll have to have plastic surgery.
Well, I got a lot of plastic here. We can melt down for you.
But yeah, it's not nice. So needless to say, I don't like spiders at all anymore. And we go to sleep. We sleep under this net, but they are just all over the place.
I think you're right, Ravelin said those spiders going to have a wanted poster up for Rebecca. and Eduardo says spiders hate garlic. So I guess if you have you eat.
Oh, that's good to know too. Let's hang some garlic, like get rid of the vampires.
So hey, thanks for Pamela. She says, bless your heart and your nose too. Been praying for Rebecca's nose.
And I know Pamela's been praying, and it is better. It is better. And
look, I mean, it's like Reckon is saying, Reckon is like, wow, man, still, and that's what's terrible. These spider bites, it takes forever for them to heal.
And the dermatologist told me there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I mean, other than if it gets infected, put the antibiotic topical and take what do you call it? Heals, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's just really nothing you can do. Time really is about the only thing that you can do.
But she said she assured me that
I did nothing to mine, nothing, and it has gotten better a lot faster. Rebecca, she is just tedious. I mean, she's constantly cleaning and I just left mine alone.
I don't. Ever since the dermatologist, she said to wash it, twice a day, keep it dry, and so when you see me patting it, I'm using a sterile gauze.
She's drying it. I would use a blow dryer.
Well, we don't have a blow dryer.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
But if we did have a blow dryer, that would be the most sterile way to dry it. But, when I wash my face, I don't want to use a towel. I use the sterile gauze to kind of pat it dry.
Jan had a good question. She says, oh my gosh, did you see the spider? And that's what's the unfortunate thing is I think we both got bit while we were asleep.
Yeah, we woke up with these and the bites look the same. They both look like, a spider bite I would think would be, it looked like two little holes, but it actually looked like a pimple. It was white. It had a white head.
Because we're getting close to time. Here's the most important thing you should know about if you get bit by a spider, right? So we've been bit. I've been bitten a lot by spiders. Okay. But through trial and error, here is what we have discovered. If you get bit by a spider, now write this down if you're taking notes. If you get by a spider, almost always it's going to look like a pimple on the next day. It's going to look like a zit. When you were a kid, what'd you do? Zit, zit, zit. You're popping these zits. Whatever you do, don't pop the zit. Okay? So you're going to get a little tiny white head. It's going to look like a zit. Don't pop it. Let it pop naturally. Now, and what we've learned is that if you'll leave it alone, I have actually taken a razor and kind of tried to lance where the zit was at and very carefully take a needle and I could pull out the junk because whatever poison.
That's right. I said you didn't do anything. I forgot about that you did that. But that was a long time afterwards.
Right. That was, but so because I've gotten bitten since this one. Since this one, I got bit again, and I was very careful to take a razor, a clean razor, and I cut the bottom and I peeled back the skin and I took a needle and I carefully pulled out what looked like the zit head, and it was just like this. I don't know what it was. A little
sack of white stuff,
and what
it all came out together.
I'm no doctor, but when we mash it, it spreads that stuff all over, and then it gets nasty.
I would say just go to the doctor right away if you know if you.
I don't know. Look, I've been to a doctor when I had a bad one over here, and man, that sucker, he mashed and mashed and mashed, and it only got worse.
I forgot about that one. He actually has. And I think this, I pray that it doesn't, but I think this might leave me a divot. But he has an actual divot right here from the spider bite. And then remember the one on your hand? But that was when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah. Well, this one, I was like 18. And I had a really, of course, I don't know that you can see. Maybe you can point out, you can see there's a scar between my first two knuckles and a scar between the last two knuckles.
Where I can't do is the opposite.
Yeah, see, there's a scar down there, and there's I was like 18, and I got bitten by a spider. Nearly lost my hand. No, all joking aside, I know I like to play a whole lot, but I actually went to it swole up. Went to the doctor, and and my hand was so swole up you couldn't close it, and he lanced it, and man, all kind of infection came out. He said, if it ain't better by tomorrow, I'll come back. When I woke up, man, it was swole up to here. I go to him and he says, ain't better. And they were actually talking about cutting my hand off. And I'm like, dude, that thing's attached. I need it.
And that happened in the produce department. He was a stock boy in a grocery store and was unloading, what was it, bananas and stuff. And he got bit.
And so we don't know. I never saw it, but they assumed it was a spider bite because I was in the produce department. But I was 10 days laid up in the hospital as they put all kind of stuff, and they had to really cut in there and clean all that crap out. So spider bites can be bad, but
we're assuming it was a spider bite because it matches all the pictures, and the both dermatologists said that that's what they thought that it was. And what else could have gotten in the net that
right? And I think it's
so
but like Patriot said, this is the reason we give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. He says Vermont's looking better to me now. I might stay in Vermont,
Yeah. But it depends on where you live in Costa Rica. But if you do like how we thought we were going to come and we wanted to live amongst the.
But keep in mind, most people won't get bit by a spider. We're living in the jungle. Now, I saw another question here.
But they are around a lot. So if somebody is afraid of spiders or don't like critters, there's a lot of critters here. This is even in the city.
There's spiders there's bugs everywhere in Costa Rica. Yeah. It's a jungle. It's a rainforest.
Yeah.
But check out what David said here, because David asked a good question. He said, I am considering the Pacific Coast area from Matapolis, Dominical, Uvita. Are all these fun critters living down by the beach too? Hey, not only are they, but a whole lot more. And so why is that? David, you will actually have a whole lot more down there because the climate is conducive for these critters. We're way up here in the altitude of about 5,000 feet. And so a lot of these critters don't like it that cold. No. When you're in lower climates, you have a lot more critters than we have up here. And that's just because it's so nice and warm. And hey, bugs like the beach just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. So you do have a lot of those critters there. So I hope that answers your question.
But there are a lot more pretty critters and sweet animals and stuff to see that you know, I hate for anybody to get discouraged from it, but it is true that if you have an issue with it, and the reason I say that, do
things you
you
can do to
remember
prevent it,
the
right?
lady that told us, told me about Costa Rica at the farmers market, and it took, like, they moved here 5 years after we did, and they only stayed for a year.
They didn't stay very long. Decided Costa Rica wasn't for them.
Yeah, because
But that's the reason we share the good and the bad and the ugly, because maybe Costa Rica is not right for you. You know, I don't make any money off of you coming to Costa Rica, and there are a lot of channels that will talk you into coming to Costa Rica. They pretend to tell you the bad. They're like, oh yeah, 2 hours in the bank. No. How about giving me the truth, okay? Because you're making a lifelong decision. You're selling your house. You're selling your land. You're going to go to Costa Rica, and then you're going to be pissed off that someone sold you Costa Rica so you can buy more of their product and services. I don't have anything to sell, but that brings up the point. You know, we give all this information away for free, okay? And look, the best way that you can learn this information is attend these live calls, okay? But time is money. You can join our private members-only community, $10 a month. $10 a month. You can be chatting your questions, asking, and you'll get an answer right away. Or, look, if your time is money and you want answers right now, you want someone to help you get help you get a timeline, help you get a direction on coming to Costa Rica, the best place to live. Hey, schedule a phone consultation, and that way we can talk with you one-on-one and answer your questions by video or by phone. But, you know, hey, while I'm on it, Eduardo says he has garlic all over the house in Guanacaste. Works great for him. Another thing is if you have cedar, you know, when we build a tiny house, we'll have cedar-lined closets, cedar-lined cabinets. That way, cedar normally repels a lot of bugs. So, you know, there's a lot of things. Don't let the critters scare you away from Costa Rica, because it's pretty awesome. I love looking at the bugs and the creatures.
There are, what do you call the pesticide people? Exterminator.
Yeah, the fumigoras. The fumigoras. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but you got these fumigoras, and they will fill your house full of chemicals and get rid of all the bugs. Okay. Yeah. So you can do that, all right? But
and I think, like, in the city, when we do stay in the city and we rent a place, hardly see bugs in the city. But I think it's because those apartment complexes or the neighborhoods where those are, you know, they spray the yards and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but if you get any outside of the city, most people are not using that kind of service. They're not.
There's, you know, and now Adams says, hey, I'm new to homesteading and even posting the process on YouTube. Do you have any tips for newbies like myself? Maybe common mistakes made to stay away from. Any help is really helpful. Appreciate it. And indeed, Adams, you know, you can continue to watch, and I'll be posting more. I've been super busy, so not posting as much as I normally would have, because I'm trying to get into the house, but I should be in the house soon, and we'll be posting a lot of stuff about our homestead. And one of the biggest things is gardening. Gardening is very different, because you can garden 365 days out of the year, but it's different gardening in Costa Rica than it is in the United States, because the rainy season can just tear up your garden. So you have to really have plastic covering them. So have a garden house. But there's all kind of really neat things. So just keep watching and you'll learn lots and lots of stuff.
Andreas mentions living in Rivas. We lived in Rivas. I really enjoyed Rivas.
You know, Andre says, living in Rivas, Perezeladon, in rainy season, snakes becoming common pets. You know, and, you know, that goes back to the Fer de Lance. A lot of snakes, they start moving a whole lot when rains begin for obvious reasons. There's lots of frogs and mice and stuff, stirs them up a whole lot. So I guess you could say that it's a more dangerous time for snakes is when rainy season first begins. I did find that in my research. So, hey, that's according to my research. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. Okay. But hey,
we like the Rivas area.
Rivas is really a nice area to live at. We had fun living in the Rivas area. But hey, we're already over an hour. Hey, folks, I've really had a great time with you guys here. Hey, please be sure you can really support the channel in a big way by, after the video's over, comment. Make questions, comments, anything underneath the video, because the algorithm will say, hey, they must have liked it, and it will push it out. So, hey, we really appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. It's always way more fun whenever you join us than when we're by ourselves.
Definitely. So thank you.
All right, folks. Can't wait to see you next time. Not sure what we're going to talk about next time.
I think we should talk about the pretty critters, the good
pretty critters?
the nice ones.
We'll only be talking about you, though.
Oh.
I got me some brownie points. Wink, wink, wink. All right, folks. We'll see you next week on the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast.